Wake up now, wake up, Si.
Mark a new beginning. We are the ones of the spoken word. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Yeah, yes, one day we will rule the world.
Hey guys, I'm Si and welcome to AC Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell football show. This is our Euro 2020 coverage. This is episode number 8. The Euros are here and they may as well be over now. It's all done. Let's do any more shows. Let's just talk about Championship again in the Premier League. It's all over. No, I'm only joking, of course. What a game going on at the moment, by the way. But the show is available live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. AC Podcast Nation. Also, you're home to many great shows and series, expert analysts, and more. So please do follow us on social media. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Click the bell for notifications. And if you prefer your podcasts in audio form, you can get them at your favorite radio and podcast platforms. And just search AC Podcast Nation. There's over 450 shows on a variety of subjects. And very quickly, a big thank you to Black Diamond Sports for all their support around the show. Black Diamond Sports is a global sports agency. They represent sports stars from around the world. And for more information on them, you can visit their social media pages, as well as their beautiful website. The links to which are in the description below. And today's sponsor, as ever, very proud to say, is Bespoke Financial. And Darren Ralston of Bespoke Financial is, of course, giving away a free will with £140 with any new policy which is taken out if we send you there. So please check him out, give him a call, and don't miss out on what is an incredible offer. Just basically get in contact with them, tell them that we sent you, and if you take out one of their policies and the various services which they provide, you'll get £140 free will. Cannot ask for any more than that. What a superb offer. They are truly top of their field. They provide award-winning service, and we're proud to partner with such a top-class brand, and we thank them for sponsoring the show. Let's get to it. I feel like it might be a bit ranty tonight, but we'll see. Introducing first, he is not live via satellite, as we thought we might have to do on Friday. I'm delighted that I'm not on my own this evening. It's my friend, co-host, the goal collector, former England U21 striker, of course, ex-Middlesbrough and Cardiff hero, Mr. Andrew Campbell. How are you, my friend?
Good evening. Nice to be back. Great. Whose idea was this, by the way, to have 7 o'clock when there's an extra time game on? We haven't.
I know we didn't think about extra
Spain
time.
have just
Mate,
scored as well. Yeah, no, Spain have just scored as well. Yeah.
Hey.
No, great to be back. We've had some amazing last 16 games. Obviously, the one going on now is just obviously a phenomenal game between two countries who were just going at it, hammer and tongue, like a boxing game. They just keep punching each other, and someone's gonna win in the end. But you know, I mean, those are the kind of games that you don't want anyone to lose because they're going for it. And you know, I mean, I know we're going to have a grumble about certain issues and certain games over the weekend about probably not going for it at times or going for it too much at times for certain clubs and teams. Sorry, but no, really excited to be chatting about the game so far.
100%, mate. It's going to be an interesting conversation, I have to say. But of course, we are delighted to be joined once again by ex-Wales, Cardiff and Swansea forward, Mr. David Giles. How are you, David?
I'm good, Si. Good evening, Andy.
Hi, Giles. Thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. And I know, like all the viewers say about your honesty, I'm really excited, and I can't wait to get your take on the game at the weekend, especially, and the other games, but more especially, obviously, the Wales game because. And I'm guessing we're gonna start there, Si.
Oh yeah,
I think it was.
Well, it was the first game anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Listen, I know we spoke, didn't we, all of us before about. I think before the Turkey game about team selection and about getting it right and about getting the start right. I know we've probably all got a different opinion and a different way to look at it. I thought he got his team right. I thought he got his team right on paper, but that's probably one of the only things he got right. I think, I'll be honest, you know what I mean? I think, but for me, the team, if I'm just talking about selection and team selection, if I was going to pick a team to go forward to win that game, man for man, I think that's probably one I would have picked.
So, if I just quickly jump in there, I agree with you in terms of from the players that were available to him because of the squad he selected, then yes, that he had to pick that team. There wasn't really maybe Nico Williams to start or something like that. But generally, I think most of those players, most of them, had done enough to probably to earn that starting place for that game. However, you could look at Will Volks sat at home, and you're kind of just thinking, why is he sat at home when Joe Morrell's barely played a minute for Luton and he's starting for Wales? Will Volks has just had a pretty good season for Cardiff. All right, you've taken Ruben Corwell, didn't get a minute of action, so there's no point in that. James Cossey there says he disagrees, didn't think Meepham should have started. I think there's a case for that as well. But I'm going to talk about the selection and the players and going forward. But in terms of the game, I just thought Denmark were the better team. I thought 15 minutes Wales looked good. And then after that 15 minutes, we were pretty shambolic. I thought we was poor on all fronts. I thought we were sluggish. I thought we lacked ideas. We lacked pace. And as has been the trend for the last couple of games, we make changes to tactics and substitutions really when the game's gone rather than before that. But I think Denmark deserve a great deal of credit. I was speaking to my father-in-law just before the game, and I said, Dolberg of Denmark is a real player, and I think he could get a big, big move after this tournament. He had impressed me before Saturday, but I thought before he came off, obviously he was substituted. Before that, he thought he was absolutely sensational. And I said to you, Andy, I think Denmark are going to go quite far. I can see them getting to the sort of semi-final stage, maybe even a final. I think they've got really good players, good young squad. But Gilo, I'm interested in what you think about the Wales-Denmark game and Wales overall, because obviously you just said to me when we were waiting for Andy that you felt like that was coming from previous games.
Yeah, I just believe even before the competition, Si, we've been scraping results really without playing well. We've been playing against sides who've been much better than us on the day, sneaking a draw or just nicking it at the end. So I personally think that was waiting to happen. But as a footballer, it doesn't do you any harm. It hurts. And obviously, we didn't want to go out losing that way 4-0. But the players now and the management, the staff, they've got something to work on to get themselves right. You know, it would have been heartbreaking, I think, to go out on a penalty shootout, getting done by that. But I totally agree with you what you said, Si and Andy. I thought Denmark were fabulous. And again, for 15 minutes, we were the better team. But great credit to their manager, who I think is very, very good as well. Very underestimated. He changed their formation. I'm telling you now, their back four or their centre-backs cope with Kiefer Moore better than anyone has done since Kiefer Moore's been playing for Wales. They were outstanding.
Totally
Big lads. They marked him tight. Whoever was spare, they were good on the ball. But we just lost our way. But I think when you play against a team like Denmark, you can't be direct all the time. And we were trying to hit Kiefer Moore and then get up and support him. You've got to play football. And we had too many footballers on our bench, i.e. Harry Wilson, Dave Brooks. I personally, if I was Robert Page, I agree with Andy at the start. He got it right. But when you're into the game, you're 1-0 down, 2-0 down, you've got to change it because it wasn't working with Kiefer Moore. So get your footballers on, even if you play Bale and Wilson or Wilson and Brooks up front, but play football rather than going long. And also, I would have played Cabango alongside, because he's played with Joe Rodon at Swansea. Cabango is a regular in the Swansea team. He wouldn't be fazed by Denmark are not a powerful, going to knock you around, but they're good footballers. Ben Cabango has got pace. He's a good footballer. So there's a lot of things for us to work in. If I'm honest, yes, it was coming. To get to the Euros was brilliant for a little nation like ours. To get out of the group was sensational. But we're never going to go much further than that. And unfortunately, came up against a top quality team. And I agree with both of you that Denmark will be in this competition for a little while yet.
Andy, I wanted to ask you both a question, but I'll start with you, mate. Gilo mentioned there about the Denmark manager changed it about midway through the first half. He changed his formation because Wales had started well. And that was something that Jose Mourinho, early in his career, particularly, was very famous for doing. He would bring on subs in the first half if it wasn't working, or he would change his formation quite radically. Like, in-game management as a coach is vital. You've got to be able to change that game. You've got to be able to stem a flow of momentum that the other team's got. And if you can't do that with the players and the tactics you've got currently, you have to be brave and change that, don't you? Surely.
Yeah, well, you do, yes. And so I'm gonna strip it all back a little bit and talk about Robert Page a little bit. That he's come in for a lot of criticism since the weekend, a lot, and I think it's unfair and unjust. And I'll tell you why. Because
I think it's unfair.
He's taken over this job and this role because of what happened to the manager. He's come in the caretaker role. He was doing a fantastic job with the young players, with the 21s, with the younger players, developing them and getting them ready for the first team. He had a lot of them in the squad. He's developing those young players really well. If we then start hammering him and saying he's not doing a very good job, he's going to lose his job, and the whole thing starts again. The process starts again. You know what I mean? You got to look every 2 years, every 4 years, and for me, every 4 years, you look at the World Cup. You know what I mean? Let's look at the World Cup. Yes, it's not in 2 years' time, but we've got an opportunity as a nation for Wales to blood those young players in. Blood players in which someone has developed themselves. You know what I mean? Yes, he was a current manager in this tournament, but he was out of his depth. And I think if you honestly spoke to him down 1-on-1, at times during a couple of the games, I think he'll be honest, I think he was out of his depth. The Switzerland game, I think he was out of his depth, and I think he got very lucky with the result in the end. I thought his tactics were spot on against Turkey. I thought he had his players bang up for it from game one. Italy, I thought he got his tactics really wrong. I thought he just sat and hoped that we just got a result and they clung on. I think they got very lucky. I think that the red card did them a favour, that they were then so deep that they were never going to give a goal, and Italy didn't need to do anything to win the game because they were already winning. And I just think I agree with Gilo that once that first goal went in, it was just going to be a boatload. Yes, we can talk about referee decisions. Yes, we can talk about it should have been a free kick. I think sometimes you just take that on the chin and just accept it, because for me, every time they got the ball, they were breaking away. You know what I mean? I think for me, I listened to Robbie Savage in the interview and the commentating that you might as well get beat 4 or 5. Don't get beat 4 or 5, because I think it has a negative effect. You know what I mean, for the players, because the young players, like Gilo spoke about, have got to go into the next friendly, the next qualifier, the next tournament with that memory of getting beat 4-0 against Denmark. Because when Wales had their previous tournament in the Euros and they did really well, that's mentally tough for the other teams to play against Wales, where now it's going to be mentally tough for Wales to play against the Denmarks of this world, against the Switzerlands, because of the negative performance that they put in.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it is difficult because it's a knockout, you kind of think you have got this thing of you feel like you should just go for broke. I kind of don't think I disagree with you on one point, and that's the Turkey game. I thought Wales got very lucky in the Turkey game. Yes, they were probably the better team over the 90 minutes. However, I didn't think we were very good. We should have been 4-0 up 35 minutes in, but then by 50 minutes, we could have been 3 or 4-1 down, and we kind of rode our luck. We also didn't take our chances, and we got dug out a little bit by a bit of Gareth Bale magic in the corner, and obviously he missed a penalty as well. But I actually thought a better team than Turkey would have made us pay, because we defended badly and we missed not just good chances, but one-on-ones and things like this, which you just cannot do at the very top level. So, and look, overall, Wales are punching way above their weight. So before the tournament, I said, if we get out of the groups, I'm happy. So I should be happy. Unfortunately, the nature of the performances takes the shine off a little bit. So I'm caught in the middle.
But one thing I will say, and sorry, Si, just to interrupt you. Giles, tell me about the 4 starts that the teams made. So we go back to the Switzerland game. I think for about 2 or 3 minutes, I think they were excellent. They could have scored the first couple of minutes. Turkey, they should have been 2 or 3-0 up in the first 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes. Italy, I thought they started pretty bright. And then against Denmark as well, I think they started excellently. I thought Gareth Bale had a couple of chances. Why is it then that they take the foot off the pedal and they don't carry on the way that they started the games? Is it negative tactics? Is it players just not being confident in getting that first goal early? What is it, from your opinion?
Same as when you played, Andy. You're always looking to score early. That's what you try and set out to do. If you can get a goal early, settle your team down. Everyone gets confidence. Everyone gets on the ball. Everyone gets a touch of it. Your confidence builds. But I think with Wales, or this group of players, if they don't score in that 15, 20-minute period, that the opposition are going to create chances. And that's when we put ourselves under a bit of pressure. When Denmark, and like Si said, we were the better team for 15, 20 minutes. But then also Denmark, they had a spell of about 8, 9 minutes, and they scored. And a fabulous goal it was, the first goal. Yes, the way football is now, it wouldn't have been a foul in my day. The centre forward, Kiefer Moore, would have backed into that guy and held him off. But I don't like to see big centre forwards going down like that. But the way football is, you look at it and you think, well, that is a foul. He didn't give it. They went on. It was a fabulous finish, absolutely fabulous. But then we allowed them to dictate the pace of the game. Again, you need, and I don't think we've got it, and we haven't got an Ashley Williams anymore. We haven't got, when I played, a Teddy Yoreth in the middle of the field who'd be pointing fingers at people. If I was playing with you, I'd be, Andy, do your job. Stop them coming through, close the wing backs down, close the full backs. But you don't seem to see that on the pitch anymore.
Sorry, Joe. I just wanted to ask you something on that regarding Ashley Williams, obviously a leader. I felt like Joe Rodon's best game was when he played alongside Chris Gunter. I think it was the Turkey game, or it might have been even the Italy game. But I actually thought Chris Gunter, his experience in the centre of defence, actually helped Joe Rodon a lot.
Yes, probably would do. They would do so.
Knowing that we didn't have that leader within the defence, because Ben Davies is very vastly experienced, but he's quite quiet. Should maybe Chris Gunter have been looked at as a central defender alongside the younger players, just to talk them through it and get them through. I know they're adults and I know they play professional football, but they are young men. It is a big thing. So having someone who's been there and done it alongside you is always going to help, isn't it?
It does, but again, people, you just used the phrase there, been there and done it, and he has done 100-odd caps. But Chris is not the player he was 4 years ago.
No, that's the problem.
And I'm sure if Denmark would have seen Chris Gunter playing at centre back, they would have even changed their tactics even more. They would have obviously tried to get down the flanks, get him out wide, drag him down there, waste his energy, if you like, or get him tired. But I think Cabango and Rodon would have.
Cabango's the one.
But you know what? Like Andy said, I'm not blaming Robert Page. You can't. What he's done, it's great. His CV will say he got us out. But like I said earlier, I think that was on the cards. It was coming. And unfortunately, on the day, we played a team that were right on their game. And
Yes,
I mean,
yeah,
right
they were
on their
very,
game.
very good.
Very,
Well,
very good.
here's the question I put to both of you, and you can both answer me at the same time and with one word. The fact is, if you take out Ryan Giggs and everything, would Robert Page be the Wales manager at this time in his career if it wasn't for Ryan Giggs? He wouldn't, would he?
No,
And
no.
it's just that's just the fact of it. Wales, look.
But he's not going to say he's not going to not take the opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Of
He'd
course
been
he's
sat
not.
down with the Welsh FA, and this was a once in a lifetime opportunity for Pagey to manage his country, to represent his country, and you've seen the passion for his country. Listen, there'll be no prouder person after the third game against Italy to know that he's put his country through, and there'll be no person in that dressing room at home who'll have been more gutted with the way that the result went than Pagey himself as well. So all the people who were being negative about him, all the people who were, listen, I've never met a prouder Welshman than Pagey in my life. You know what I mean? When he played like that, when he managed, I don't know, I'm spoken for a while, but he seems as though he manages with his heart on his sleeve. And listen, no manager and player wants to lose. It's just part and parcel of happening. If you get beat 1-0, you get beat 4-0. It's a defeat. You got to take it on the chin, like Giles said, and you move on. You go on the next tournament on qualifier, and hopefully the players have learned, got more experience, and are able to learn from what went wrong. Because what went wrong was
100%.
there weren't. But probably what went wrong is there was a few players left at home which probably shouldn't have been left at home. But that's
also
for different people to decide. Whoever picked that squad.
When we were doing the preview show, and I asked you the question: should England have taken Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson because they were carrying injuries, they might not be fit till the knockout stage, etc., etc. But obviously England have got a bigger pool of players to select from. Wales had Joe Allen coming back from a long-term injury. He'd been out all season. Gareth Bale has played sporadically for Spurs. Ramsey's been injured all season. Then you've got Morel is being picked as your first choice holding midfielder, yet hasn't played for Luton barely at all this year because he couldn't get in the team. You've also got there was someone else as well, which I've forgotten now. But that's like not just your 4 or 5 best players apart from Morel, but also it's half a team of players who've barely played football, and that is a problem for me. And I felt like that did show. Like Joe Allen was feeling his way into the tournament. I thought he was good in bits and pieces, but at other times he looked really off the pace. Gareth Bale didn't really get going. He just hasn't got the pace that he once had. I thought Ramsey was probably one of our better players, but in the biggest game, he just wasn't able to, to really influence anything. And Joe Morel, look, I don't blame Joe Morel. He did his best. I just don't think he is Wales's best holding midfielder at the end of the day.
What I would say to you is Ethan Ampadu played over 30 games last year for Sheffield United in the Premier Division.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see how the kid didn't get a start.
Absolutely.
And again, nothing against Morel, but you look at it now, Ampadu and Joe Allen, for me, that looks nice and solid, good footballers, experience, and I would have gone for that. But having said that, the kid Morel has never let us down. But listen, Nathan Jones at Luton, he's no mug. I can't understand why is this boy playing for Luton? Yeah,
it's a weird one. And like you said, we've mentioned Cabango. I wanted to very quickly just talk, because obviously we have got quite a big Welsh contingent who watch us. So I just want to quickly talk about, obviously it's a year till the World Cup. Wales have, at the moment, got a very good chance of qualifying. The other teams in their league, there's 3 beatable teams, 4 probably. I think they're capable of getting a result against the Czech Republic if they play well. And then you've got Belgium as well. So they have got a chance to qualify for the next summer's tournament. For me personally, and this is only my personal opinion, I would like to see Kabanga in the middle of that defence. I would probably play him alongside Ben Davis with a bit of experience. But I felt like Joe Rodon showed a little bit of immaturity at times. And I would like him to kind of go away and just mature a little bit as a footballer. But I also wouldn't be against him playing with Kabanga at club and country level, because I think they're a good pairing. I'd like to see Nico Williams in there. I thought Connor Roberts, whilst he positionally was out of place for a couple of goals, I thought he did all right. Exactly what you said, Gilo. I'd have Ampadu and Joe Allen as my two, because I think Ampadu gives the legs for Joe Allen. And then Joe Allen can do what he does. And then you've got to get the likes of Harry Wilson and David Brooks and Nico Williams. You've got to get these boys playing in the starting 11. And then you've got Ruben Cornwell, didn't even get a look in. You've got Levitt and you've got Volks. Got to get these boys. Tyler Roberts has played, I don't know how many games he played for Leeds in the Premier League this year, but he played quite a few. Couldn't he get on the pitch? It's really, really strange. Like, even when, like, I would have taken Kiefer Moore off against Denmark towards the end, probably with about 20 minutes to go, because it wasn't working. And he still couldn't put Tyler Roberts on. It was really strange. But Gilo, I just wanted to quickly get your opinion on kind of what I said there about just bringing in those players. And also, Rye has asked, would you have taken Luke Jeffcott in the squad?
No. Is a straight answer to that, Si. But yeah, you know, you've just mentioned a few lads then. Listen, Dave Brooks has had a bit of an up and down season, obviously with injured. Before, I think it was the season before Bournemouth got relegated, he had an outstanding season in the Premier Division. He is a really, really good player. I saw him when he was playing for Sheffield United, and you know, I was really excited about this kid. I've watched him live playing for Wales at Ninian Park. Goes past people lovely. He's got a lovely left foot. Uses his right foot when he needs to. I think Harry Wilson again is the type of player you want. He suits international football, if you like, because international football is not all blood and guts. Running like headless chickens. You've got to retain the ball, keep the ball, possession, and Wilson does that brilliantly. He's very, very good footballer. And then when you get further up the pitch, around the box, around that area, he comes alive. Unfortunately for Cardiff, we never ever saw him enough in those positions because they didn't get in the ball around there. But I think the first time I was on this show, sir, I think we got beat 3-1 at Belgium. He scored a fabulous goal for Wales. If you remember, it was one touch passing. I think it was someone out wide, knocked it into Bale, one touch into Harry Wilson, just ran onto it and side-footed it past, I think that's how you say it, Courtois is it, the Belgian keeper. Outstanding goal. But that kid has got that ability. So we've got good players, but they've got to be playing on a regular basis. They're no good if, they can't turn up and play international games when they're not playing. And I think Robert Page is aware of that. He because he's developed them as the under-21s. But yes, Ramsey, Bale, I can see Bale dropping back now. Again, the goal against Turkey, Bale was nigh on just inside our own half when he passed that ball to Aaron Ramsey. He can change his game. He can play there. He's got a fabulous...
Giggs did it, didn't he? He dropped into central midfield.
He's got a great range of passing, Gareth Bale. Still got a great touch. Aaron Ramsey, like you said, I think he played 22 games for Juventus, coming into a major tournament. Although he's got all the ability, but you're lacking freshness, really. When you're playing games, you're on top of your game. Gareth Bale and Ramsey, unfortunately, came into this tournament not really on top of their games, whereas the last time they were right on top of their games. So, there is going to come a time when we need to replace them. We're not going to produce straight away names like Ramsey and Bale again, but I still feel we've got some kids. I'm told now in the under-18s, we've got some really exciting young players. One lad, a lot of people have said to me about Andy, Jason Bowen, that played for Cardiff and Wales. Well, his son, Sam Bowen, they said he's got a lot of ability, but it's just getting that opportunity, getting in the Cardiff team, and obviously, and then getting in. But unless these players are given a chance to play for their league sides, and you've got a manager brave enough, like we talked, Mick McCarthy, will a footballing midfielder or striker suit his game? So.
But also, fellas, I think and other nations have done it. Sometimes they took a hit on a World Cup or a Euros and not qualified because they've stuck to a philosophy for a planning for a 6 years time. You know what I mean? Because or 4 years time. because if you qualify with an aging team and you're going into a tournament with an aging team, you struggle. You know what I mean? It's about hitting the right tournament at the right time. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to have a long-term vision, because we've all said, Jar, you've said it yourself, Si, you know what I mean? The future. So when's that button going to be pressed? Is it going to be pressed now that they've just knocked out the tournament so that they can look for the next World Cup and give the youngsters an opportunity to qualify? Are they going to put the youngsters in for the World Cup? Or they're going to put the youngsters in after the World Cup for the next qualification? For me, then it's too late, because you're 2 years down the line. You've got to either push the button now, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't be disheartened, because in 2 years' time, those players will have 2 years of experience. You know what I mean? The good enough footballers just need to play together for longer. You know what I mean? Jarlo said there, you're not going to get a Gareth Bale. There's no Gareth Bales out there at the minute. You know what I mean?
No.
There's no Aaron Ramsey's out there at the minute. But the team might be a better team without the superstars in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one question I've got then, and for you with that, is obviously the players which I mentioned, Nico Williams, Amadou, all these guys, they're Kabanga, they're playing first team football around Europe for top teams, for predominantly either the top division or the second division championship level. So they're all playing first team football. They're all starters generally. So should you think it's the best thing to do is to try and get them play in for Wales, but also getting that experience alongside people like Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey and Joe Allen, like a year playing again alongside them consistently is going to do those young players the world of good to settle into international football, so that when those players, particularly I'm looking at Bale, I think Ramsey is I think he's a little bit younger, but like particularly Bale and Joe Allen, when they do retire, those players, it's not a shock to their system, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important, or do you think they should cut the cord now and just try and qualify for the World Cup with the younger players and kind of say to Gareth Bale, look, enough's enough?
Listen, I think there's always a role for Gareth Bale to be in and around the Welsh squad. I think there's always a role for him to be there, to pass his experience on, to pass his knowledge on, to pass his I've been there and wore the t-shirt, so to speak. But they've got to cut the cord sometimes. They've got to make that decision to go on to the next level. Harry Wilson came to Cardiff last season on loan to get in the Euro squad. He got in the Euro squad and he wasn't given his opportunity. He might as well have stayed at Liverpool. He still would have got his opportunity. He still would have gotten in the squad. He wouldn't, you know what I mean? He's in there because of reputation. He's in there. And that's wrong. He should have been, for me, he should have been playing because he's playing week in, week out. The way that he finished the season, Harry Wilson, was because of his ability. You know what I mean? Because he was confident. He's going into a tournament after scoring a hat-trick against Birmingham City, after being man of the match, player of the month. He should have been going in that tournament with tons of confidence. But then he's getting held back. He's coming on for 8 minutes. What's that doing for the boy's confidence? How can he achieve anything in 8 minutes? And then he's coming on against Denmark and having to change something. How can the pressure on a young man's shoulders be acceptable when he's got to go and change a game? That's acceptable for me on a Gareth Bale's shoulders, on Aaron Ramsey's shoulders, because they've been there. It's not fair on a young player.
What about Ruben Corwell going? Like, to me, and I'm sure Ruben Corwell enjoyed his experience vastly. I'm sure it was a dream come true. But to me, taking him and Johnny Williams was pointless. Because they didn't play a minute of football. Johnny Williams was never going to be fit enough to play football. Never.
Yeah. No.
He's gone. Jaida, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Si. Ruben Colwell, I think it's fair to say, and every Cardiff City fan will say, we can't really say he thoroughly deserved to be in the squad, because I think he's only had 5 games for Cardiff, and 3 of them have come off the bench, and the other 2 when he started. Yes, he's got potential, and yes, I hope he goes on to have a fabulous career and does great for Cardiff this season. But I just don't know. I think I mentioned this before with Andy. When Wayne Rooney or Michael Owen was selected for England, they were selected because what they were doing. When Andy was selected for the England under-21 team, it wasn't because he was only playing for Middlesbrough. It's because of the way he was playing and what he was doing in games. So they're looking at people and think, hey, this kid's on his game, we'll take him. I just don't see how they could take Johnny Williams on that, and also Ruben Colwell, and 1 or 2 others as well. And I know we keep mentioning the name, but it's a massive kick in the teeth for Will Vokes I personally think something has happened that we don't know about. It's the only thing I can think of. Because Will Vokes had a great season. It's always been in and around the Welsh squad, but was totally given the elbow, and I think that was sad, really.
I think there's got to be a plan side. There had to be a plan. You know what I mean? I spoke about England's plan. The England thought, well, Gareth Southgate thought that he was going to win the first 2 games and he was going to play Harry Maguire in the 3rd game for 90 minutes. He was going to give Jordan Henderson the 45. So for me, that was always planned out. The first 2 results didn't go the way he planned, but he still executed it because they qualified. If they'd have lost against Czech Republic, he still justified his plan to get Harry 90 minutes to be fit for the further tournament. For me, after Wales qualified in the 2nd game, because they had qualified, by the way, with 4 points, it was impossible, nigh on impossible to not go through with 4 points. Why not just throw some of these players in? Just give these players a rest. You know what I mean? Like I looked at some of the substitutions in that game and bringing on Kiefer Moore and telling him not to jump with his arms because they can get a yellow card. Pointless. You know?
Why wouldn't you bring Tyler Roberts on then?
Well, exactly, and that's my point. You know what I mean? I just look at decisions, and it's small minds. You know what I mean? We're on about these decisions split. You know what I mean? If you're looking at a bench and you're seeing Tyler Roberts, you're seeing other players. I'd have even put Dan James up front and let him go and run around, go and chase over the top, just knock the ball over.
I thought Dan James was treated badly, mate. Yeah.
3 games, 4 games, he got brought off every one. I thought it was poor.
Yeah, and he was probably our best forward player. I thought he got really badly treated because he was the one threat we had constantly with his pace. And yes, 1 or 2 of the games he wasn't at his best, but generally he always looked to danger going forward, and he was always the one to come off. It was a weird one. But Reece just said there, Will Vokes did an interview a while back, and he said, I don't see me getting a call up whilst the current management is in the job, which I think that, if that quote is accurate, that tells you that something has happened. Something's gone on, whether it's just a disagreement or there's something, which is a real shame because Wales aren't a country which qualify tournament after tournament after tournament, and hopefully we won't have to wait another 50 odd years for the next sort of couple of qualifications, because that would be a tremendous shame for Will Vokes because he deserved his place in the squad. But right, we've got 20 minutes or so now. We're going to move on from Wales. The game Saturday night was Italy 2, Austria 1. I thought Austria were outstanding. I thought Italy grounded out a bit, but I thought Austria really showed up for this game. And Andy, tell me the importance of Arnautovic to Austria, because they look a different beast with him up top.
No, listen, he makes a huge difference. He gets hold of the ball. He's technically very good. He's their talisman. He gets them going. He tells them. He upsets defenders. He's got a bit of everything. He's got a bit of arrogance, a bit of aggression, but he can also play as well. You know, he's got the whole lot, and that's not a surprise that he's been a very good Premier League player. He's obviously gone over to China. But for me as well, I think one of the pluses, and I've been critical on the show about David Alaba, who's been absolutely awful throughout the tournament, but he turned up and had a really good tournament because he was playing in his right position. And when he's playing on the left, he can bomb up and down, he can get on the ball, he can make things happen. David Alaba's putting balls into Arnautovic and giving him what he wants, putting crosses in the box, giving him balls into feet, instead of being centre-half and getting caught out and making mistakes. And you know what I mean? If you're putting round pegs in square holes, it's not going to work. And I think it showed that. And they were very fortunate to get out of the group. But I think they were very unfortunate to be knocked out as well now. So they can probably be very proud of how the tournament's gone on a whole. But they'll still be a little bit disappointed how they didn't get through, because I thought they were very unfortunate not to win that game. Obviously with the VAR decision, but it was offside. Yeah,
it was offside. But Gilo, I thought one positive thing for Italy, apart from the fact they went through, was that they showed that they can win games and maybe not be at their best. So we've seen them in the group stage play some phenomenal football, score some great goals. But now we've also seen them grind out a difficult game in the knockout stages, which I think really bodes well for them going forward into the tournament, because you do need that. You need to be able to pull out a result when you're not at your best.
Without a doubt. And if you go back 30 years, 40 years, that's what Italy were all about. Italy wouldn't go out and steamroll a team 3-4-0. They would win games 1-0. You very, very wouldn't concede goals. Defensively, we all know about what the Italian defenders were like, But yes, I agree with you. And again, I have to say, I thought Austria was smashing. And you know what? You've got a few countries that have opened my eyes really in these Euros. Austria, who've been quiet for quite a while now, have emerged. Hungary are a decent team. You mentioned the Czech Republic is going to be a tough game for us now, Si. Very tough. You know, was it Finland that drew with Germany and France and went out?
No, Finland were in Denmark's group. No, Hungary was in Denmark in the group of death, weren't they? Because at one point the Germans were going out in the final game, and Hungary were going through. But yeah, I agree with you.
There's a lot of the so-called big names in Europe. Hungary, a team like Hungary, you know, they've been quiet for a long, long time. Going back a long time, they have fabulous footballers. They produced Puskas, who was probably the first world superstar. But now they've developed young players. Like Andy said, they must have had a plan. Probably a 10-year plan, because they've done nothing for a long time. But now it's come to the top. You know, Austria, Czech Republic, Finland. You know, these little nations are. Another side as well who didn't qualify.
Macedonia, even Dave. Macedonia conducted themselves pretty well. Played some good football.
Iceland weren't in this one, but Iceland have done really well in the last big competitions. Will Scotland kick on from this, because they must take a lot of pride out of qualifying and also getting that draw against England at Wembley. And obviously, you know what happened with Billy Gilmore, who's a fabulous little player for them that couldn't play. So we've got to be careful, Wales. You know, like Andy is saying, what do we do? Do we keep Gareth Bale and Ramsey, or do we bring other lads in? I think we've got to make sure that we're not picking people on reputation. We're picking people who are playing well and can do that job for their country and want to be in the team.
Totally agree.
Dave. Couldn't have said it right. And another team, so I thought Italy weren't maybe as good as I thought they were going to be against Austria, but I think that was more down to Austria's quality than Italy maybe not turning up. But the Netherlands, to go from what they were in the group stage, like they were phenomenal in the group stage, really good going forward. Yeah. And even in the last couple of games, they sorted out their defence. And then all of a sudden, Czech Republic, who I thought had looked pretty average. I thought Scotland should have beaten them. England beat them. Czech Republic turned up in style.
Yeah, and listen, I think we're on about margins, and we talk about it all the time. You know what I mean? Marlon should have scored. I tried to take it on the goalkeeper. He had so much time, and then you go down the other end, and De Ligt trips over, falls over, and handles the ball. You know what I mean? So fundamental error. You know, in fall over, that's fine. But when you start doing things with your hand, it was always a red card for me. I don't know what the complaints were. It was a deliberate handball. It was a goal scoring opportunity. But they had to then go and win the game. You know what I mean? For me, I thought Holland played a little bit better once we went down to 10 men. I thought they got themselves sorted out. I thought he made some decent substitutions. But the first goal was going to be key. And I thought that both goals, what they scored, I thought were outstanding. I thought the way that they played, how passionate they were. Listen, it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, that semi-final, the way that the draw's been made, because one of those two nations is going to go through the semi-final. You know what I mean? So it's going to be so interesting in that side of the group, because Czech Republic have got an opportunity now to keep progressing. You know what I mean? They've got Premier League players, they've got players who are playing at the top level. So I think it's sometimes disrespectful to look past teams like that, because we've had Greece winning it, we've had Denmark winning it in the past. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's the best teams, not the best players, but the best teams who win tournaments. And they played yesterday as a team. And the teams are the... listen, what about teams who slowly get better during the tournament? You know what I mean? For me, France haven't started yet. You know what I mean? There's loads to come from them. Germany, not started yet. England, not started yet. There's so many teams who haven't started yet, but they're now right there, and you wouldn't want to play them. Same as Denmark. That game's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, Denmark's I really fancy Denmark at the moment. Gilo, talk to me a bit about Netherlands and Holland historically. Like, historically created some of the greatest footballers we've ever been lucky enough to watch, from Johan Cruyff, whether it's that or one of the best strikers that's ever played the game, and Van Nistelrooy and Ruud Gullit and Van Basten and all these incredible players. And even now they had these great young footballers. Memphis Depay has just made this, big move to Barcelona, and Wijnaldum is possibly going to Paris. And they looked great, but they just cannot seem to get it together in the big tournaments. Why do you think that is?
It's got to be a mental thing, Si, because they got the ability, like you said, in the group stages, they were phenomenal. I don't think there was any team in the tournament that was quicker going from back to front, running with the ball than the Netherlands. Absolutely brilliant, the way they got from the back through the midfield, forward, and then have the composure in front of goal, either to score or make the keeper make a save, or it just goes wide. But I think Ruud Gullit tweeted something. He said, why is it? Why didn't our big players, the like of Memphis Depay and Frankie de Jong and people like that, they never turned up on the night? But Holland have always had it, going back to the, Argentina when I think they lost in the final. Fabulous, with the Frank de Boer and the Boers were playing, and Ronald Koeman and people like that. Their history of players, after Cruyff, he started it. I love watching Holland play. I think it's absolutely, that's the way I want to see football played. But
yes,
something is just not why they've never won the World Cup. I don't know, because they're such a talented nation, and maybe they need to look at now with young players what we need to do, where we need to change. Perhaps we need to I think they did miss the big centre back from Liverpool as well. He would have been in there, obviously. He's a leader of men. He obviously controls things for them. but yeah, it's Holland. It's a mystery. I would have loved to have still have been in the competition, but take nothing away. They were beaten by the better team on the night. They were.
Andy, do you know, just off the top of your head, doesn't matter if you don't, how do Holland do in the under 23, under 21s, whatever it is, those tournaments? As they're building these players up for full caps and stuff like that. Like, do they win those tournaments? There
were semi-finals. There were semi-finals in the under 21s just gone before the World Cup. So a few of the players have obviously made the full squad as well. Listen, their youth team, their youth product and the production line is unbelievable. You know what I mean? Because they're technically very good at a young age, and it's all about play, pass, which is a fantastic way to play individually. Collectively, it's hard to do that when someone's pressing against you and you're getting a different mentality and a different team against you. It's so different. And for me, they don't play well as a team. They've got so many individuals and they just don't do it as a team. And look, you know what I mean? That you just name some of the world-class players. You've got Frank Rijkaard, Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten. But they had the workman players to go with that. They had the Robbie Winters. Yes. They had other players who did all the donkey work for them. Yeah, they had those kind of players who worked hard. Everyone in the Holland side just wants to get on the ball and look pretty. I don't see anyone who grabs the game by the scruff of the neck. You know what I mean? Everyone wants the ball and take people on. It's not a recipe for success. You know what I mean? Italy for me, the hardest working team in the tournament I've seen. You know what I mean? I seen Holland against Ukraine. I thought they'd give away the game and they were lucky to win it. The second game, I think they just got a little bit over the line. The third game, they obviously played Macedonia. It was a walk in the park. They're going into a knockout game after resting a couple of players, and it backfired a little bit. You know what I mean? Yes, it's fine margins. They probably could have won the game, but before that goal, they still were probably the weaker out of the two sides.
Yeah. So I just had a quick look at the under 21s record of Holland. So in 2006, 2007, they won the European Championship tournaments. Then they've made a semi-final last year, as you mentioned. Before that, 2013. Apart from that, they've got a lot of didn't qualify, and then sort of quarterfinals, group stages, things like this. So it's been a long time since internationally Holland have really got to the finals and to won stuff. So maybe it is a psychological thing. Thus, they've even got at the younger levels. It's a weird one though, because these are, if you look at the players and the clubs they play for, they're highly successful footballers who win trophies. I don't want difficult one. Moving on, we had Belgium versus Portugal last night, and I have to say, Belgium assured decent. I thought Portugal panicked as soon as they went 1-0 down. They got frantic really quick. And it puzzled me. I was very disappointed with how they went about their business in the second half. It just confused me a little bit. But Gyro, we'll start with you this time. What did you think of the Belgium-Portugal game?
Exactly what you said, Si. I think that when Belgium scored, I think they were in total control from then on. You know, they controlled the game, dictated everything. Portugal, we're erratic. We're doing things which they don't normally do. They're nice and silky and smooth. You know, obviously, you want Ronaldo on the ball all the time. But again, he's not the player he was. As good as he's been and as good as he has been. And he probably hasn't had a bad tournament. You know, he scored goals in this tournament as well. But I would say it's probably his swan song now with as far as playing for Portugal in major competitions. But again, they're a talented nation, Portugal. They've always produced good players. But on that performance, I just thought that they need to find players that can compete, not panic, go a goal down. You know, they just stay in command, or just keep it tight, could get back in the game and then seize on a chance when you get it. Because that's what football's all about. You go 1-0 down, it's no good going gung-ho and thinking, right, let's get at them, because the opposition, if they're good enough, like Belgium, will pick you off again. You just try and shut it down, keep them quiet for 10, 15 minutes. They don't score again, then you work your way back into the game. And unfortunately, going back to Wales on Saturday, that's what we never did. Instead of trying to say, right, we're 1-0 down, let's dig in, let's hold it here for 10, 15 minutes, we were letting Denmark run all over us, and it caused all kinds of problems. But again, you know, I think it was the right result. And again, a one-off game, Belgium can beat anyone.
Yeah, 100%. Andy, Belgium got a couple of injury concerns now with Eden Hazard and De Bruyne. That could be massive in the tournament going forward. And from Portugal's point of view, I thought too many of their big players didn't turn up at this tournament. I thought Ronaldo was all right. He did his job. He scored goals. He was in the right areas and whatnot. Was he amazing? Probably not, but he still did his job. Bruno Fernandes did absolutely nothing. Silva didn't do a lot. These are big players. One player who I thought had an excellent tournament, and I'd expect him to have a big move again after a tournament, is Renato Sanchez. But you need your big players to turn up, and too many didn't for Portugal.
Oh, listen, it's one thing I will say about the game. I thought it was the worst game so far in the last 16. I thought they both cancelled each other out. It doesn't matter if you've got the best players on show in the world. It just didn't happen for whatever reason. It was like a game of chess. It was very dull. It was until probably the goal went in, until probably a few incidents, which I thought Pepe was out of order every time he got involved in things. I just don't like the way he acts on a football pitch. You know what I mean? But every time he gets involved in something, he's his own worst enemy. You know what I mean? Because for me, I thought Lukaku was quiet, and every time he tried to upset Lukaku then was 10 minutes, and you can't be upsetting these kind of people. You know what I mean? For me, if De Bruyne is not fit, Belgium will struggle. I think Hazard missed a lot of the tournament. I think yes, he's a player that you want in your team, but I think they've got all players who could potentially fill his gap, and he can come off the bench and probably make a bigger impact. Because I thought he was quiet, but he managed himself through. I think that was a game that they expected to win, and they had to put him in. But you could see he was tiring towards the end, and I think it was cramp that he's come off with. But it's a muscle injury. It's still fatigue. Is he going to be fit enough to go into a quarter final? That's up to them to make a decision. But for me, De Bruyne is the biggest one. They need him fit. If they miss Lukaku, De Bruyne, and probably Courtois, I think they'd probably struggle. They're there for me. They're their spine of their team, which they need to be. They need to be there. But Portugal, I agree. I don't get Sanchez. I don't get the whole. You know, for Swansea, I thought it was awful. I think he was very limited in the Premier League. He's done it a few other countries, a few other teams, but every tournament he seems to turn up. So. You know what I mean? He's either very clever or just very inconsistent. I think it's probably the latter.
Yeah, but on his day, he's a phenomenal footballer. Right, very quickly, I'd like you to give me both a prediction for tonight's game between France and Switzerland. Gilo, what do you think the score is going to be?
2-0 to France.
And Andy, what do you think the score is going to be in that?
Yeah, listen, I can't see past France. I'll go 3-0. I think Benzema will score. I thought he was phenomenal the other day. He led the line really well. His first goal for a while. I think he's going to be up there with top goal scorer if he can get a goal now. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Pogba's been very good as well in this tournament. Just by the way, just for the Liverpool fans in the group. And then Sweden, Ukraine tomorrow. Gilo, what do you think the score's going to be?
Oh, it's a tight one there. Very, very tight. I've got a sneaky feeling for Ukraine.
Okay.
I think they can win 1-0.
Interesting. What about you, And?
A flip of a coin. I think they can both beat each other. I think it'll be a very good game. But I'll go opposite. I'll go Sweden. I don't know what I just think they've got a few exciting young players that they've got a plan, and their plan is to get the quarterfinal. And if they can, who knows?
Yeah, I think Sweden. I've been really impressed with Sweden in the tournament so far. I said that on my Friday in the solo show. It was really been quite impressed with Sweden. So I'm going to go 2-0 Sweden. Andy, you have 60 seconds to preview England versus Germany. But before you do, Gilo, what's the score going to be in Germany versus England?
I can see England winning that 2-0. They've got to come alive, England. They've got to. And I think they could go all the way.
Okay, I think England will win on penalties. Andy, the floor is yours, my friend.
If it goes to penalties, I'm not sure my heart will finish to carry on. To be fair, listen, Gilo's just hit the nail on the head for me. England have got to start, and they've got to start tomorrow. They've got to start with a high tempo. They've got to have a game plan. They've got to stop their big players playing. They've got to stop Tony Cruz passing the ball around. They've got to get at the aging back five of Germany with pace, with power, with strength. Got to get around the sides. They've got to get around the back. They've got to get shots on target. Harry Kane will score in this tournament. So if England can keep another clean sheet tomorrow, they'll win. I can't see it in a tournament without Harry Kane scoring in the tournament. I think it would be a national disaster if Harry Kane didn't score in the tournament. Listen, the talk of the game's been quite relaxed. Because of the size of the game, I'm surprised. For me, it should have been drummed up. I think obviously with Gareth Southgate's penalty miss, I think it's taking the pressure off the boys a little bit, and it's been focused more on the manager in the way that Germany have beaten England over there and got a better record. So I think they're going into the game quite confident. I'm a passionate Englishman. I really, really, really hope that we can get through. And if they get through, I can't say anything else except for me getting in the final. You know what I mean? Because the side of the group, they've got the best possible chance. And for me, if they do get through tomorrow, if they don't get to the final, they've underachieved massively.
Yeah. Andy, I said to you before Wales's game on Saturday that if Wales and England get through their first knockout games, that they would get one of them would get to the final. And I truly believe that still counts for, I think England or Denmark will get to the final if England get through Germany, because that's just the way the group has panned out after the German game. I feel that England on paper will look at that and think we could beat them on our day. But they've got to get through Germany. It's a massive ask, mate, to get through Germany. I totally agree. And
the way the draws panned out as well, obviously England played Germany, then they played the winners of Sweden and Ukraine, and then it'll be semi-final against Czech Republic, who they've already beaten, and Denmark. England-Denmark, it'd be like a Premier League game with the amount of Premier League players on show. It'd be a phenomenal game at Wembley. And listen, I hope it all pans out in the reality, you know what I mean? But the way that football can be so cruel, that if penalties are involved tomorrow, I won't be watching it, I'll be honest. I'll be hiding behind somewhere. I'll be hiding in a different room.
Yeah, bless you. Look, I hope that you enjoy the game, mate, more than I enjoyed the Wales game on the weekend.
I'll enjoy it.
But most of all, guys, thank you ever so much to everyone who joined us tonight. Really enjoyed it. Thank you as ever to our guest, Gilo. It's always fun, mate, having you on. Love having your honest opinions. The people love it. And thank you, everyone who supported me through the show on Friday, where Andy's internet didn't want to play whatsoever. But I really, really appreciate all the people getting involved, and as always. So thank you. Subscribe, follow, spread the word. We should have a little bit of news before the end of the week as well. So keep an eye out on the social medias. Enjoy the football this evening. We'll be back Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Don't miss it.
To mark a new beginning. We are by the ones of the spoken word. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Yeah, yes, one day we will rule the world. One day we're gonna rule this world. We're gonna heal this broken heart. We're gonna rule this world. We're gonna make a brand new start. We're gonna rule this world. We're gonna rule this world. We